Today we're gonna learn here how to create your custom component, your custom block using Vtex IO. For this tutorial, we're gonna learn how to create this button add to wishlist. Vtex only provides natively this icon button here, heart, that adds an item to a wishlist. So we're gonna make a bit prettier and add to our store team website. So let's start. So now let's go for what matters. Our custom component, right? So what do we want to do? We want to create a add to wishlist button over here. And Vtex already has a wishlist. We're gonna see afterwards, but they provide an app for that. And in this app, you get some other components like, especially, well, Vtex provides you this heart icon. But if you want to put more information here, like a text next to it saying add to wishlist, you need to create your own component. But Vtex provides out of the box this add to list ptn. That's actually this heart that we're gonna use. And we want to add that to our, website here. So the first thing that we need to do in order to start working with custom components, we need to add a new builder to our manifest file, and this builder is called React. So React 3.x is the current version while I'm recording this tutorial. So he's asking me to create a folder, a React folder. The next step, you have to create in your root folder a React folder, and inside of this React folder, now let's go to React, and then here I would just give yarn init. Then we're gonna have our package.json inside of it, and I will just give an yarn to get also a yarn log. So now I have a yarn log, a node models, and let's see if we don't have any problems, if the website's still running. Okay, that's still running. Great. So next step now, we will need to create here inside of this React folder. I'm gonna create our wishlist button.js, and here's gonna be a very simple React component for now. So from React, so const wishlist button, and here I'm gonna return only div saying hello world. Very creative. And I'm gonna just export that now here, export default wishlist button. Okay, so that's great. We have our component running here. But we're still not doing much with this. I'm getting an error here, so let me just redo this link to see if everything's fine. Okay, looks good. Okay, but I'm not doing anything now with this yet. So what I need to do here afterwards? So once we create that, we need to create inside of our store folder. We have to create a new file called interfaces.json. And here is where we're gonna make the connection between both folders, React folder, the store folders, by creating a block. And inside of this block, we're gonna have our custom blocks. And here for custom blocks, we use the kebab case format. So wishlist button. And here I'm gonna give this block here a property here called component, and this has to be exactly the same name that it is our component in the other folder. So he's gonna look for this component inside of our React folder. So you see here, that's what it is looking. And this is how we're gonna call our component inside our store. So in order to see if this is working, we're gonna just add this here, this block now to our product page. So we are here on store.product, and I want to add this on top of the buy button. So if I add here, let me see, I think I already have the quotes. Let's see if I don't get any error. Okay, so if that is working now, we should have a hello world in our page, and that's exactly what we got here. Okay, so this is how you connect basically our React folder to our store app. So they are actually just, well, making this connection through the interfaces, but keep in mind that you really need to have this export inside of the main folder here, React. Sometimes you can also add here a folder like call components, and inside of the components you can call specifically your components, but don't forget to recall them here with a wrapper or whatever you want in order to have this main component being called directly under the React folder. If I don't have this here, if I have here inside of this components folder, it doesn't work. So you're gonna have some error, so just be careful with this part. So the next step now, what do we need to do? We want to install our wishlist app to this application. So let's go ahead and check the documentation. So in order to install, we will need to use here this command, Vtex install wishlist. And I'm gonna go just to the main folder here. It doesn't really matter, but just to be in the right folder. Okay, we just installed a wishlist, and we need to do something else. We need to go to our manifest and add also in the peer dependencies this block. So let's go to our manifest, peer dependencies, and adding this block. Okay, so let's see if this is working. Let's go and add to our PDP the block. And let me see again the name. That's the block here that I'm talking about. That's the one I want to see. It's the heart icon button. If that is working, it should appear a very beautiful heart in our PDP. Let's go there and check. And here you go. So if I want to add, it is asking me to be logged in, but I'm not. So we're just throwing an error, but you see that there is some action. So what do we want to do in the end? We want to have this text here that's gonna be something like add to wishlist. We want to have that next to our button and make this an entire button. So what we need to do is a bit of a workaround. We need to make a wrapper for both of them, and when you click on this wrapper, we are just forcing the click of this button here. But it looks like as a user experience, user interface, that you're clicking, well, that's the main button here. But we are just making a wrapper that if you click in this wrapper, you're clicking here. That's what we want to achieve. So the next step now is to create something that is gonna help us here in terms of development. I want to work with a folder, with this components folder, and I'm gonna move this component here. Well, I'm gonna create a new folder here inside of components called wishlist button. So you can have multiple folders here. And here inside of this folder, I'm gonna call my index.js. And inside of this index.js, I'm gonna actually call this here. And you will see if now I just delete this, although I have that inside of the component, it's not gonna work. Let's see. You see, you get an error because it's looking for the wishlist button component, but it doesn't see it. So what I can do, I can then create here inside of this folder, the React folder, I'm gonna create a wishlist button wrapper. Why not? You can call as you prefer. So here I'm gonna do a very standard import, like wishlist button from component, wishlist button. He's gonna get already the index by default. In here, I'm gonna export this wishlist button. Here I can put them wrapper to follow this standard. Then I just do it here. Export default. Of course, this is still not gonna work because I have to change this name in my interface. Let's see now if everything's fine. Let me just kill this here to see. Okay, so it's back working. So you can do that for when you're creating many components. You can use this structure here, is better. The next step now, what I want to do, I want actually to add our, add to wishlist button icon to this component. So we need to do some steps here because we will need to create a wrapper for that. So we can work with something very cool here that is called our props for React. And in these props here, we just can give here a name for any props you're giving. And we can use that inside of our component. But of course, if you don't give anything to this wishlist button, it's not gonna work. So you really have to come here, and we are gonna give ID to this one here, so product page, and we're gonna create this block under this one here. Let's just follow the structure. I will put it here, share by button, so before the by button. Oops, I already have here. And now inside of this, we're gonna give the props that we want. That is actually our, how did we name it? We name it add to listed button. And we're gonna give this prop, we're gonna give our add to list btn from the wishlist, we're gonna give this as a prop. And now we get this inside our main component, our custom components. We're gonna have this block as a prop, and inside of our main component, our custom components, we're rendering this this other block. So if this is working, we should have another heart appearing in our PDP. Let's see. You see, we have two now. One is inside of our application, our custom block. The other one is directly in the product block. So this is the one here. We have one here, and we have another one in our custom component. So I'm gonna just remove this one that we don't need it now. In the product page, we're gonna delete just with one. And the next step is actually, to basically tell our component, listen, when you click our wrapper, we want you to click this button here. So we're gonna have to deal with some query selectors here.